Today is my Gshock State of the Collection show. Let's get into it. Yes, and welcome to the Mad Watch Collector Show. And today it is time to own up to my buying splurges and show you my entire Gshock collection. Now, about 2 weeks ago, I put a community post poll out asking you, the viewer, what would you like to see first? My Gshock collection or my Casio collection? Now, out of 4,000 votes, the majority of people wanted to see the Gshocks, which just shows you how important Gshock has been to the brand Casio. Anyway, I cannot show you my collection without first showing you my awesome late 1990s Casio display cabinet. Double-sided too. On the other side are Casio, so I'll save that for another show. Now, just for reference, I have a 6.5-inch wrist, and the majority of these Gs are what you would call the smaller size ones. I mean, they're all big. However, over the years, I've come to the realization that you've just got to accept that they are big and be proud of it. So I'm not really going to go over many specifications. I'll tell you why I bought the watch, whether I'm still wearing it, and whether I recommend it to you. There are some Gshocks here that I've fallen out of love with, but it's really hard to get rid of them. Let's get started. Are you a Gshock ready? Let's go. Right, I thought I'd do this in order of wearingness. So you're going to see the ones that I least wear all the way up to my favourite ones I wear all the time. And first up, the one I least wear out of the lot is the DW5700. Now, I got this one at a good deal. I think it was a limited edition. I'm not sure why. It looks quite Christmassy, to tell you the truth. This is a significant reference because it was the first Gshock to come out that was round. The only trouble is it's a little bit boring, isn't it? I can't put my finger on it properly. I just feel there's too much resin going on. I really like the yellowy green limited edition screen, as well as the shock resist sort of watermark at the back of the LCD screen. It's a reference I like to own, but I don't wear it that much. Have you got one? Next up, a reference that I am quite surprised I'm not wearing, and it's the Casio. I do like the overall design of these bad boys. I have the stainless steel shroud one and the camouflage resin. Also, when you put these watches on, you realize, wow, Gshock can actually make a thin watch, all thanks to the carbon core guard system. I guess in my eyes, I have more affinity with a digital display than an analog one. This one does have a digital display, but you need to be this close to read it. I don't know, maybe it's because they're a new reference. They don't have a lot of history at the minute. They've only been around 4 or 5 years. Is that why I haven't been wearing them? Next up, a reference I do love, I just don't wear this watch that often. We're talking about the DW6900, but this is the Bamford limited edition special. For the price, this watch was around £200, I think. It is just a basic module inside with a negative display. Even though the band is quite cool with its two-tone look, it's not hugely comfortable, it's quite stiff. I like the PVD coating, but if you look at the top, right there, you can see that that coating's already coming off, and I have hardly worn this watch. We are talking about the DW5600. The watch Gshock lovers were hoping was going to be good. All we wanted was a Gshock square with a MIP display. Instead, we got a smartwatch with a paw print on the back. For me, really uncomfortable to wear. The worst comfort feeling of a Gshock. You have to charge this boy up. I do not use any of the smart features, and I've had to charge this up 3 times. This square is too thick. It doesn't fit or look right on my wrist. With all regular Gshock squares, the shroud is screwed into the case, but not this one. I don't like the fact you can pull this thing off. It's probably the biggest disappointment with Gshock and Casio for 2023. Next up, a watch I thought I'd wear a lot more, the GMD S5600. The baby Gshock that doesn't have baby G on the front. Really small module, really thin Gshock. Perhaps a little bit too small for me. It just looks like a grandson of my other squares. And the fact that I've got quite a lot of squares compared to one of these GMDs, it just feels like I'm cheating on the other ones. Again, we've got a shroud that just pops off like this, but I like the LCD screen, the fact that it's just that little bit off blue. It is comfortable on the wrist. just don't wear it a lot. The next one is a watch that every Casio and Gshock enthusiast should own, the DW5600E, and it's in the style of that first Gshock that hit the Western market and then exploded. Very decent electroluminescent backlight. It's low down on the wearing list because I have quite a few Gshock squares that I like wearing more, but this one will never leave the collection. Next up is the Mudmaster, the Mac Daddy, the King. This watch looks like the spacecraft the Transformers came down in. It looks tactical. It looks like a futuristic weapon. It's certainly a watch you could probably say could outlive you, but the GWG-2000 is basically all the technology, all the learning from the last 40 years packed in this bit of kit. There are so many textures and finishes to this watch that you could just stare at it all day. I get more out of this Gshock just taking it out the watch box and just holding it and just turning it and just looking at it, playing with it. It's almost like a glorified fidget spinner. This is a master of G, so you got your barometer, your altimeter, your thermometer, your compass.
It could also make you a good cup of coffee.
Scrap the last one, but you get the idea. If you want a Gshock that has got everything in it, minus those horrible Bluetooth smart things that seem to be appearing this year and the years going forward, this watch is awesome. It's just on my wrist. It kind of looks like I'm wearing an ankle bracelet given to me by the government after being in court. But as a thing, as a product, it is awesome. Another couple of squares that I own, the GW-M5610, the predecessor to the 5610U. This one still has the electroluminescent screen, which I absolutely love. Plus, with that red frame around it, this one looks just like the original from 1983, which is why it's so popular, as well as being solar powered and having multi-band 6. But with my head screwed on, the best Gshock square I own is the GW-5000U. Yes, it's £100 more than the 5610U, and yes, it looks more blander, if that is a word, but this watch at its core has a stainless steel case and not a resin one. It has a screw-in case back just like the original. Yes, it has the same module with the solar powered multi-band 6, but the resin just feels that little bit more premium. And for anyone that wants to get the ultimate Gshock square, get the 5000U.
Could you just click that like button, please? It really helps the channel. Thank you.
Okay, I showed this off last week, and this is my range man, the GW9400. Can pretty much do anything the Mudmaster can do, just with an all-digital screen. It has that proper 90s Gshock look to it. Yes, it's big and bulky, but there's no carbon fiber in sight, and because of that, it is quite thick. But I've really taken to this watch. Yes, it's big, it looks big on the wrist, but I don't really care. Multi-band 6. I like how the special sensor features are all on one big button on the right, the compass, the barometer, the altimeter. I love engaging it using that one button. Probably my favourite buttons on a Gshock.
Hello.
Next up, two watches from around the same sort of era, those early 90s, and with a similar sort of look too. I really love the shape of this. It's great for us small wristers. The text that's white, red and blue just shouts 90s for me. This watch has a countdown timer, stopwatch, world time. We've got an electroluminescent backlight, and this is a great watch to own. As is the 6900, probably a far more popular reference, as you can get these watches in any colour you want. I've already shown you the Bamford version, but if I was to choose out the two, it would be this one. The watch is a little bit chunky. Once again, being an older reference, we've got that electroluminescent backlight, which I really love. Alarm, countdown timer and stopwatch is all you get with this. This thing gets a lot of wrist time. Another watch that gets a lot of wrist time because it isn't so big is the G9000, a Mudman that came out in around 2006. They broke the mold with this one. The buttons are actually shrouded, as well as the case back, to allow zero dust or mud to get inside the movement. But I love the asymmetrical case with the two different sets of buttons. They may be quite hard to push in, but I can let it off. I love the fact I can give myself a 5-second countdown before the stopwatch starts. Also, the backlight doesn't just light up the screen, it lights up the text around the screen. No other Gshocks I own do that. Very cool watch. Next up, we come to a bit of stainless steel. The full metal Gshock squares. We're talking about the GWB5000, fully stainless steel case, bracelet and case back. And with the gold version, proves that Gshock can make a legible negative display. But to make these watches as durable and tough as the resin ones, the construction of the shrouds are made differently because, you know, this is a different material. It doesn't bounce as well as resin does. So these are proper Gshock square collector's watches. You do have your solar powered, your multi-band 6. The modules inside this are very good. Backlights are great. The first end link doesn't really shape down to your wrist, especially if you haven't got a big wrist. So these watches do look rather big, but I absolutely love them. The wife though thinks this is the worst watch of all time in the world. What does she know? Okay, coming down to the last 3 Gs. These are the 3 that I have been wearing the most. And at number 3 is the 30th anniversary edition of the Frogman. Yes, the first one came out in 1993. And this is an homage to that one. And I love this watch because it is the first diving Gshock. This one has a tide graph. It also tells you how deep you're going underwater. And you can also log your depth. Something I'll never use. And just looks so obnoxiously unattractive. It turns out to look cool. Again, like the Mugman I own, that asymmetrical case is weirdly attractive to me. You've got exposed buttons on the right and then shrouded buttons on the left. I love the gold accents in the buttons and the buckle. And despite the fact that there is so much resin to this watch and so little screen, it's one of my favorites. Hitting the number 2 spot is a magnificent watch I reviewed probably about 2 years ago, and it is the BD200. A Gshock that has a familiar square look to it while still changing bits and looking a little bit modern. From the case shape, to the buttons, to the way the strap goes into the case. But look at that display. The memory in pixel display is so clear it's ridiculous. The manual of this said the battery life was only about a year, and that had people going, what? That is only if you enabled all the notifications and you synced it up to your phone for a year. I disabled all of that nonsense. We are coming close to 2 years of ownership and this battery still looks pretty strong. You can see the lineage of this watch to the Gshock Square. This is what the H5600 should have been. Look at that thickness. Bloody paw print. But if anyone is looking for a modern Gshock, this watch is phenomenal. Definitely one of the most comfiest bands. I love the slits and how they're very close together, meaning you are definitely going to get a good fit. It's very hard to knock a GBD200. Tempted on getting the black one now. And we've come to my final Gshock, the one that I've worn the most in the last year. And if you are a long-time viewer of the show, you will know the reference I'm about to say. So last year, Gshock celebrated 40 years since the original in 1983. And this one, the DW5040, is a celebration and reissue of that first watch. I just want you to have a look at it for a bit. Oh, it's so special, isn't it? Now, this is the heart rule in the head. The module inside is very basic. In no way does it compete with the 5000U, that's for sure. This Gshock has a gold stainless steel inner core case with a crystallized stainless steel screw-in case back. Crystallized steel apparently is tougher than normal steel. The external parts of the watch are made from bio-resin.
Less harmful to the planet, apparently.
But it's very premium feeling. And even though I shouldn't really get it dirty, let alone scuff it up, I wear this one all the time. So there we go, 19 beautiful Gshocks that I am, to be honest, pretty proud of accumulating. I've got some that are ranging from £600 to £60. My favourite ones, it has to be said, are the squares. As I said, I love history, and no doubt I'll probably get a couple of new ones. I need to get the updated 5610, but there is one watch I want to get definitely that is going to make the 20, and it is thanks to researching the Mudman, 1985, the DW5500, the first mud resist Gshock that was worn by Arnold Schwarzenegger in an awesome film called The Running Man. You can still buy this reference. Unfortunately, Unfortunately, it does have a negative display, but I really want to see what this watch looks like on my wrist. Look out for a review very soon. But I'd like to know from you guys, are there any G-Shocks that I'm missing? You know I love a bit of history. What I'm hoping for in the future is a G-Shock Square with a MIP display. That's it. Or a GWD200 that is solar powered. However, if Casio decide to bring back any other old references, I'll be there like a shot. Thanks for watching till the end. If you want a little bit more of the Mad Watch Collector Show, click here, yeah, and join. Or if you want some merch, look down in the description below and get yourself a mug. But most importantly, if I've got you for a few more minutes, why don't you check this one out? This is magnifique! Superb resin loveliness. Go on, click it. Click it!